Hi everyone, this is Kona, and I'm going to go through what's going on for week 11. So let's go ahead and go into the week 11 information. So our overview, obviously, I'm doing. So study resources, excuse me. We've got the two samples hypothesis testing notes, the t-test Minitab examples. For the Minitab examples, use this data file. That will be the file with the data in it that you'll be using to go through the examples. And then we've got confidence interval example questions and the videos. So those are the notes. You will need the probability distribution calculator for the confidence interval example questions. And those questions and that information will be the content for the quiz. You should also read section 4.2 and 4.3 from the textbook. And then for the videos, so the two sample hypothesis testing with means, that's kind of like the lecture. This is where I go through what the different hypotheses are and just kind of the thought process that goes into two sample hypothesis testing. And the t-test Minitab examples, these are going to be really important because they are going to help explain how to actually do the 3 different t-tests. So not just the 2 sample, but also the 1 sample t-test as well from last week. And this is what you can use then if you're trying to analyze your data. You can actually go ahead and try analyzing your own data now if you want, where it's not actually assigned until next week when we finish ANOVAs. But if you want, you can go ahead and use this information that you'll learn here to analyze your own data. So, and then here's the confidence interval example questions, and this really will help you with the Chapter 4 quiz too. So going through to assignments, hypothesis testing with means. All right, this is an actual homework assignment, so we haven't had one of these for a while. So even though it looks like a quiz, it's not really a quiz, it's more homework to make sure you know how to analyze the different types of t-tests, and this is important because you will be doing that for your project. So there's no time limit, but you only get 1 attempt. So you can go in and out of this assignment as much as you want, as long as you don't click the submit button, and your answers will automatically save. You will need to download this Minitab file to do the assignment, and then here is the data dictionary that explains kind of what this data is. So the data was collected from a Math 113 course. To collect the data, students used a ruler to measure their left and right hand spans, so the length of their hand, and their foot span, the length of their foot. So we collected information about the gender, left hand span, right hand span, left foot span, right foot span, and then the average hand span, which is just the average of the right and left hand span, and the average foot span, which was just the average of the right and left foot span. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this really quick just so you can kind of get a look at it. And so this is what it is, and it says a preview of the published version. Well, it's okay. These are the quiz questions because it's not really a quiz. Remember, it's homework. So what you're going to see is a claim. So there is no difference between people's left and right hand span. And then all of these questions you answer for this claim. So for this claim, what type of test should you use to analyze this claim, meaning this claim right here? The original claim is the null or the alternative, and that all goes back to this one right there. Which tail is being tested, analyze the data using Minitab, enter in the t-value, enter in the p-value. There is or is not enough evidence to reject support, the claim that there's no difference, and then what does this conclusion mean in real world? Also do any follow-up analysis as needed. So, and this is the big one, so if you notice this one's worth more points than the other questions, so you want to get all the questions right, but here you go. Also remember, there's only 1 attempt, so it's not like you can do this and then go back and fix it. So really make sure that you're confident with your answers. But also remember what I said, you can go ahead and enter in whatever answer here. So you can go ahead and enter in an answer, and as long as you don't click the submit button right here at the very bottom, it'll say quiz saved, and so it will save any work that you do. So things that you type in the box, if you select an answer here, anything you do will automatically save, and then you can just go ahead, click the back button, X out of here, whatever, and it will save your work. So you don't have to worry about that. But you can see, so then there's a claim, woman's average foot span is less than men's average foot span. And here's those. And so there's 3 claims. And here's the other one, the average hand span of the students was greater than the population mean of 22.86. So there are the 3 claims, but I just wanted to make sure you saw that and you understood it. All right, so then the next one is discussion 11, margin of error discussion. So this week you'll be calculating confidence intervals, standard error, the margin of error for the quiz. Yet, what is the margin of error and how does it really work in real world data? So here's an article I actually just found here recently, 5 key things to know about the margin of error in election polls. So read through that, then in your own words explain what margin of error is, then find an online article or source from this week. That is important. It needs to be from this week, meaning the week that this is due. So it's due November 6th. So that means it needs to be done during that week before November 6th. That has current presidential poll results, the percent of people that are planning to vote for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, including margin of error. Provide the link to this article and the percent for Clinton and Trump with the margin of error values. Then step 4, explain based on what you learned from the article in part 1 what the percent and margin of error from your sources mean. So there you go. I actually think this, at least I think this will be interesting, especially because the election actually takes place 2 days after this discussion is due. So it'll be interesting, I think, seeing this or doing this and then seeing who wins. Then the follow-up post, provide feedback to your peers about the data they found. Did they match what you found? If not, what do you why do you think there's a difference, and whether you agree with their interpretation of the percent and margin of error. So, and if everyone agrees, that's fine. But I'm just interested to see what you guys find and whether all of the different polls. And honestly, I think that if you look, there's always lots of different polls that are doing the different, possible results. And I bet a lot of you will end up with different results, but whichever, be interesting to find out. Then we have the chapter 4, quiz 2. This quiz deals with working backwards from a confidence interval for a single mean. You will need the probability calculator. Remember, the probability calculator uses degrees of freedom, not the sample size. So remember that. And remember the study resources. You'll want to use this worksheet, and this video will help you with this quiz. Okay, so moving along. For assignments, the Project 3 Part 2. So Project 3 Part 2, review the feedback you got on Project 3 Part 1. Now this is really important. Please do not start collecting your data until I give you feedback that, yep, what you're doing is good, go for it. Because I would hate for you to go and collect this data and then see my feedback and me say, oh no, that's not going to work, or that's not a good thing to do, and ask you to change it. So please make sure that you review my Project 3 Part 1 feedback, make any needed corrections or adjustments, then go collect your data, which are the prices of things, based on what you decided on in Project 3 Part 1. You'll need specific information, brand, size, everything, about each item you collect data on, so make sure to write this down when you write down the prices. So an example of how to collect the data. So here's kind of how it would look, but I went ahead and made a Word document showing, and so Project 3 Part 2, item information, and here's the stores that I'm example collecting data on. So what you could do is kind of make one of these up for yourself or just on paper, but it's important, you see, you want the full, how many ounces, exactly what brand, Heinz ketchup, pack of Pepsi, and then the prices for each store. So that's what you would go and actually, and so you might take a blank one. So you might have like this blank and maybe make a bigger one like that, so you can actually write in there, and obviously more lines, because you remember you need a minimum of, 20 items, I think. That's actually a good thing to say. I'm pretty sure it's 20. That's awful. Yeah, I'm sure it's 20 items, but hold on, let's double check. Okay, I'm back. So there's Project 3 Part 1, and you do need 20 to 25 items. So okay, and I will add those directions there. So back to this, you would need 20 to 25, item information, prices here. So then going back here, collect the data. So then what you actually submit to this assignment. Now this is important. You actually have to submit 2 things. The first is the Word or Excel document with your list of items and information. So literally it would be this, but with that information. So you literally need to submit a Word document or Excel document with this exact information and your prices. So that's the first part. Then the second part is your Minitab file with the prices of your items and see example. It should look like this, but to even get a better example of what it would look like, I did an example mini tab. Oh, geez. There we go. So here you can see I've got Walmart and Kroger in the gray, and then just the prices going down. So you don't have to label what those are off to the side. Now, if you want, you can, but you don't have to. All I need to see is Walmart, Kroger, and the prices, and they all need to match what you have in your Word document. So just remember 20 to 25 items, and, oop, wrong thing. There we go. So 2 things to submit, the Word or Excel and the Minitab file with the prices. So I think that's it. I think the only other thing that I've got over here is the Project 3 information. And for that, that's comparing store prices is our project. Here's all of the things that you will need for this project. So if you want to kind of start thinking about it, it's like especially the methodology. After this week, you could definitely do the methodology. You could already do the introduction, the title page. The abstract you really can't do until everything else is done. So hopefully this gets you started. Also, the analysis. If you're doing, well, depending on whether you're doing a 2-sample independent t-test or a paired samples t-test, if you're doing one of those two, you could actually analyze your data this week. Otherwise, wait, and next week we're going to learn about how to do ANOVAs, and then you can analyze your data for the ANOVA. But here's everything you're going to need for the Project 3. So I hope this helps, and let me know if you have any questions.